Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor, thrill, and pleasure to have on the Frankly Speaking Sports Hotline. Please welcome in former Major League pitching great Tommy John. Tommy, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening on Frankly Speaking Sports. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, I enjoy talking sports, baseball, golf, contact swimming. I'm big into that.
Tommy, let me ask you this. First of all the fans out there, I'm sure, are concerned. Know you had a little battle with COVID out there. Want to know how you're doing, how you feeling.
Well, I got over it, but I contracted an ancillary thing. It's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And if you look it up, it paralyzes you, and I've lost a lot of the use of my legs, and it's not, I can't walk. Well, I can walk, but I have to walk with a walker. And so, but it's going to take a while for me to get the strength back and get everything going, and but thank God, that I got over all that stuff, and now it's just working myself back. It's kind of like getting ready for spring training. I would run and lift weights and do exercises to get myself for spring training. So I got to do the same thing over again.
Now, Tommy, let me ask you this. Well, we're glad to hear you're at least getting better. That's good news to hear. Your first year pitching, 1963 in the major leagues. Let me ask you this. When you were growing up, because, I know I wasn't born to 66, so I pretty much watched your entire career over those 26 years. But who were the guys when you were a kid or right before you got to the major league, or who was the pitcher that you kind of looked up to as you were a kid?
Robin Roberts. We were Philly fans in Terre Haute. We had a Philly car club, and I was a big Robin Roberts fan. And coincidentally, my first big league win in 1964 was against Robin Roberts.
Wow!
And I never let him forget it either.
Well, no, why would you? I'm just fixing my computer here for a minute. There we go. Okay. Now let me ask you. The date was September 6, 1963. You make your Major League Baseball career debut with the Indians. What do you remember about that day?
Well, I came in out of the bullpen. And I remember I couldn't get the bullpen gate open. And I went, oh, no. I never seen a gate with that kind of a latch and all that. Back in Terre Haute, we just had a thing that went up with the gate open, it went down, and it shut. So I shook it, and I thought, I'm going to have to climb the fence in my spikes, and I'll probably fall. Break an arm or something, and lo and behold, the gate popped open, and I went out on the field, and I got my first major league appearance.
You look at your career, Tommy, and you played with some unbelievable teams. I know you played with the White Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers, most notably. I mean, when you look at those two teams, just the Yankees and Dodgers, those are the most elite teams. Those were the teams in the 60s, whether, coming over the Dodgers from Brooklyn. Of course, the history the New York Yankees have. What was it like? Talk about your experience with both those teams, and how disappointing was it to have such good teams with both those teams, yet fail to win a World Series?
Well, we finished second. I was in 4 World World Series. We finished second 4 times, and we just picked years not to play good baseball. But I'd say playing, I learned to pitch. I learned to pitch with the White Sox. The White Sox taught me how to pitch, and the pitching coach was a guy named Ray Berries. And he was a catcher. He was Al Lopez's pitching coach, and he taught me how to pitch. And thank God I ran into him because my first pitching coach with Cleveland was Mel Harder, and he wasn't going to do anything because he said, I don't want to mess you up. You're young, you know. I don't want to get you messed up. Then after the next year, he quit, and Early Wynn took over. And my wife laid in bed beside me, Cheryl, would be a better pitching coach than Early Wynn.
So let me ask you this. One of the great heroes down here, well, from Tampa, Florida, the name Al Lopez is all over the place. What was it like? I know you didn't get much time. I mean, you played with him a couple of years, you know, but what was Al Lopez like?
He was very quiet, didn't get ruffled. I remember I came in and I said, Al, can I talk to you for a minute? He said, yeah, sure, come in. And I said, you know, I took Spanish 2 years in high school. And I listened to these guys speak Spanish. I thought the same Spanish I learned in high school. He started laughing. He said, I'm from Spain. We were Castilian. And that is the true book Spanish. Tommy, he said, I don't understand them. And Al was very quiet, very fatherly. But you knew how far you could go, and then you shouldn't go a step further. And the guy that was with the White Sox that I loved took over after Lopez in 65 was a guy named Eddie Spanky, the Brad.
Yeah.
Well, when he got through managing, he took over the Texas Rangers for 1 game. And he quit. And he said, I can't manage these guys. And it would be like him taking over today. You know, you got to have your basket of flowers. You got to, Eddie was tough. He was tough. He was no BS. But God, I learned how to play ball from him. He did one thing that, you know, you got all these guys, the spin rate and the launch factor and all this. He called me in New York, and I pitched the night before, and he said, Sam, he said, I want to talk to you, okay? He said, last night, let's go over the game. I said, okay. Nobody had ever said that to him. First batter, what did he do? I said, oh, you grounded out. Where? 6-3. What did you throw him? Fastball. What was the count? 2-2. I had to go through my entire game, telling what each guy hit, where they hit it, what the count was, and what the pitch was. And I had a hard time doing it. I'm pretty good at it. And the next time I pitched, he called me in the next day, and I started rattling off. And he was not a pitcher, but he taught me how to be a pitcher. And that is, remember what you threw, what you got him out with, and remember it. So when I was a pitching coach in the Expos, my minor league system, I would get my guys out the night that they pitched. They couldn't tell me what the first guy. Jesus, I don't know. I said, you just faced him 3 hours ago. Yeah, but I don't know. And I said, well, maybe if you would know. Then one time what I did is we were in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I said, okay, guys, we're going to have a golf tournament at this club at 10 o'clock in the morning. So the guys were out there with their big pro staff bags and all that. And they get up on the first tee, and I said, oh, man, I forgot to tell you. You could only use one club and a putter. What? You can only use one club. But you want to use a driver, but you got to use a driver every shot. Well, what should I use? I don't know. It's up to you. I said, I'm going to use like a 4-iron, 5-iron. So the guys stood, and when they got done, I said, now, let me ask you this question. Did you hit every shot with that one club as hard as you could? No. Why? What? Well, there was no need to. Okay. You hit some grounders, you hit some pops, you hit some chip and runs. I said, guys, this is how you pitch. The same way. You don't have to throw every pitch as hard as you can. You got to throw it over the plate. You got to change speeds. You got to do this. That's how you pitch. Oh. And so I gave the winning guy, he got a $50 gift certificate at the pro shop that I bought him. And I went in and I told our manager what I did. And he said, why'd you think of that? And I said, well, because when I was coming up, we had a guy in the minor leagues ask me the same thing. If you had to play golf with one club, would you hit it as hard as you could? I said, no. Well, you pitch the same way. Okay, and he was an infielder that told me that.
Right.
But, now it's show them your butt, throw it as hard as you can, and, they don't teach these guys how to pitch. They teach them or show them how to throw hard.
Right. Now, was there one pitcher, Tommy, when let's say it wasn't your day to pitch, and you were sitting in whether there was the bullpen or the dugout, was there one guy that you loved to watch pitch when you weren't pitching that you just was in awe of, that you would love to study and watch the way they do things?
Yeah, when I was with the White Sox, I'd watch Gary Peters, and he'd have a bullpen day, and I would go down in the bullpen and stand up like a hitter and watch his pitches and watch his curveball and his slider and his fastball. I'd watch him pitch and try to get an idea of how to pitch. Then when I went to the Dodgers, I watched Rick Roden was good at that. I'd watch Whitey Ford when we played the Yankees. Usually Ford would pitch one of the games, and I'd watch Whitey. And, okay, I see. I would throw, if I had good stuff, and I would throw 100 pitches, I would throw 85 fastball curveballs. And all I threw was a fastball curveball. I didn't have all these other pitches. And guys said, well, how did you do that? Because I'm throwing the ball where I want to, where I'm looking. Maybe I take a little off of it, a mile or 2, 3 miles an hour, throw one a little harder. And I said, but that's how you pitch. And I just, I love to watch pitchers that didn't have real outstanding fastball. Because if you had a good fastball, you could just throw the ball by. A Nolan Ryan, guys like that.
Right.
But I tell you who was fun to watch pitch. Bo Belinsky. Remember that name?
Not sure of that one.
Well, look it up. Bo Belinsky was with the Angels, and he was out in outer space someplace. And he used to date a girl named Mamie Van Doren. She was one of these blonde, dyed blonde, bleached blonde, and had, big boobs and a shapely figure. And they, Bo was in LA and he was going to all these parties and all this stuff. And he and Mamie Van Doren. And he was out of baseball, and I'm with the White Sox. And we're at White Sox Park, and I'm in the bullpen. Why, I don't know, but somebody said, Tommy, there's a guy out here who wants to talk to you. So I go out, and I said, yeah. He said, Tommy, Bo Belinsky. I said, Bo, how are you? Hey, Mamie wants to say hi. Mamie, and he's waving at her, and she's waving in the back. And I said, oh, my God, this is, but Bo was a good guy. He was just out in, like I said, out in place. But had he played longer in the big leagues, he would not have lasted because he was a party animal.
Right. Now, let's talk about the injury. I mean, obviously today, it's unfortunate that, the kids didn't have the luxury of seeing you play like you did, but they know of you due to the injury. Talk about the injury when you first knew that you hurt your arm real bad, and how reluctant, Tommy, were you to allow Dr. Johgn to go ahead and do that surgery?
I was not reluctant at all because I trusted Dr. Johgn. If Dr. Johgn told me, Tommy, go take a big bucket and gather up all your dog poops that you have from your German Shepherd and dig a hole back at second base and put all those dog poops in it, cover it up, and your arm's going to be okay. I would have done it. I didn't doubt him and iota. That's what kind of, it was a rapport we had, was like father and son. And I trusted him explicitly. And when he said, I really don't want to do it, but there's an operation I can do, blah, blah, blah. He said, but it's never been done before. Well, I said, but I can't pitch unless I have it done, right? He said, yeah, that's about it. And I said, well, let's do it. Let's get it done. And I had faith in Dr. Frank Johgn.
Were you scared to come back after the surgery?
Well,
I mean, no fears of, because your first time.
I wanted to pitch.
Right.
The only way you can pitch is to wait. Let your arm heal, exercise, get it ready, and I pitched in a ball game. Now it wasn't a big league game, but it was in the fall league out in Arizona. I pitched 7 starts in 28 days. That's one game every 4 days, and that's what was required, and that's what I did, and that's what I had to do to get myself ready. And then 1976 was my first year back, first full year in the big leagues, and I was 10-10. And it took me half the year to figure out how to pitch again. It just, you don't come back and take over where you were a year and a half ago. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn how to pitch, and it took me half a season to get that back in my head of what I had to do.
Well, it definitely worked because you ended up winning more games after your surgery, 166, I believe it, or something in that area, and you were a 3-time 20-game winner after your surgery. So obviously the surgery worked for you, no doubt about it. But let me ask you this, Tommy. There's so many more Tommy John surgeries happening today than when you played the game. Is this due, do you think, to the way the kids are more into like weightlifting and the doing things incorrect with the arm to get them ready for baseball?
Well, I think they do a lot.
Oh, hello.
It's so far ahead of what it was when I was playing. There were no MRIs back then. There was X-ray. So they did an X-ray on my elbow, and all it showed is I had an elbow, and there were blue dips in there, and it couldn't show the torn ligament. And now if the guy's heart wrong, oh my God, you got to go get it shut down, and it's just, there's more care now. There's better medicine, but it is what it is. And I think if guys would throw more, not pitch, but throw more, they would have fewer injuries.
Yeah, now let me ask you a question that you might understand, Tommy. Our listeners not might understand, but you know in the game as well as you do. When it comes to the pitch count, and it comes today to these pitch counts and not using pitches as long as they used to use them a long time ago, do you think this goes beyond maybe the GM and the managers, and maybe it's more for the agents of the players to try to extend their career? So, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but the longer the career, the more they get paid.
Well, nowadays, my God, a guy can minimum salary when I played was $7,000 a year. Now it's like $500,000 or something like that. But I just think that guys, I won't say coddled. That's not the right word. But they're babied more now than what they were, and guys will go, "Oh my arm, okay, shut it down," and you shut it down and all that. But it's I just think that guys, the injury is the injury, and it's something that needs to be taken care of. But I think a lot of times the pitchers nowadays they're into, if they get an owie, it's like, oh my God, we got to shut the guy down for 6 months or whatever. And so I think as we get more and more into it, we get more scientific and we get more of this and that. And sometimes I don't think that's really the proper way to do it. But then I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't know. But thank God that they've got all these things now to test these kids and all this, that they can figure out what they have to do.
Is speed overrated when it comes to pitching? Whoops. We lost Tommy. Not sure what happened there. Let's try calling Tommy back. I knew his phone was going.
You got batters out. Oh, are you still up?
No, I actually lost you. I just called you back, so
Okay.
I'll ask you that question again.
I thought that was Donald Trump calling me. I thought, oh my God. I think that they put too much on speed. Oh, he was throwing the ball 96 miles an hour, but he lost the ball game. And guys asked me, how hard did you throw? I said, I don't know. We didn't have radar guns until after I had my elbow surgery and came back. I remember a game in spring training I pitched 5 innings, and I pitched pretty daggone good against Houston. And Dixie Walker was our minor league batting instructor. And he came down. I pitched 5 innings, and I gave up a run or 2. And I thought I pitched pretty daggone good against Houston. And he came down and he said, "What? You better get that fastball up there a little better." I said, "What? You better get that fastball up there a little better." I said, "Better get it up there what?" "Oh, you only be throwing it about 85, 86 miles an hour." And I said, "And what?" He says, "Well, you got to get it." I said, "Dixie, if you and Al Campanis can tell me what I threw before my surgery, the next time out on the mound, I'll throw it." And he looked at me and started laughing. He says, "Damned if we know." I said, "Yeah, that's right. You didn't know how hard I threw because there were no radar guns. Now you put instruments in people's hands that are ill-equipped to give reasons, and that's why you've got how hard. Harder is better. Yeah, if you get batters out. If you get batters out, that's all that matters."
Yeah. Now, a couple more questions before I let you run, Tommy. You know, you've had, no doubt about it, you know, a resume that is very, very worthy of the Hall of Fame. How much does it bother you that you have yet to be enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Doesn't bother me at all. Because my dad told me when I was a boy growing up, don't worry about things you have no control over. I don't have any control over it, and I think I don't want to say who it was that kept me out, but I think I know who it was that kept me out on the veterans, and you know, we'll see down the road. I don't know. If I get in, I know how well I pitch. I know how well I pitch. And I pitched pretty daggone good. Coming back from the elbow surgery, I pitched even better. And the other thing that I had 188 no decisions.
Right.
The most in baseball history. So if you put that with my 288 wins, you know, 12 wins out of 188 no decisions. That's a pretty doable thing. But, you know, I know how well I pitched, and I know what I did, and I know what I didn't do. And I'm pretty daggone satisfied with how I pitched.
My last question, I have to ask you this. You played with some unbelievable characters, I should say. One being the great Tommy Lasorda and one being the great Billy Martin, who both left us too soon. What was it like playing for those two guys?
Well, Billy Martin didn't like me. And the feeling was mutual. I didn't care for Billy. Billy didn't like my lifestyle, and I didn't care for Billy's lifestyle. So it was, you know, that what he thought of me, I could care less. Lasorda called me in when he took over as manager. He said, I didn't pitch well my first 3 or 4 or 5 times out. He called me in and he said, "Hey, get your head up. You're going to be okay." And now this was 1977. He said, "We're going to win this year. And the reason we're going to win is because you're going to pitch well enough that we win. You're going to be the guy that leads us. So don't worry about what's happened. Just keep going out and trying to improve each time you go on the mound." And I looked at him, I said, "Tommy, I appreciate that. Thank you very much." And I would have gone through hell in a gasoline suit for Tommy Lasorda. I wouldn't buy him dinner because he would eat too much. But no, Tommy was a good guy. He was a good guy. And, you know, we're trying to get a movie funded, and it comes out, there'll be a big thing in there on Lasorda, I can tell you that.
Well, good, because he deserves it. And, you know, I can sit here and tell you my opinion is you definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but I know my word is only one word. But I do want to take the time to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on Frankly Speaking Sports tonight.
Well, you're quite welcome, and we're going to be down in Florida next week, going down to Naples to play in a golf tournament called the Happy Gilmore, the 25th anniversary of Happy Gilmore movie. So I can't play golf, but I want to ride around with people and harass them and all that. But it's going to be fun, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, good luck to you, and stay safe, my friend, okay?
I will. Thank you much.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was the great Tommy Johgn, legendary pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, Indians, Oakland A's, California Angels. Just an unbelievable career. Tommy Johgn.